Yeah, so Vault really needs to answer right now. He needs a shrink. I was just gonna say he needs a shrink, and there it is. He's gotta hope it hits Undertaker.
And there it is. It hits Undertaker just as he would have liked.
Right, but that Magic Stone found gave a pretty big, decent debuff. So we'll see if there goes Undertaker. So I think Vault is right back in it.
Yeah, that shrink was really, really crucial in taking Undertaker down. And there's 5 damage dealt. Size 5 card dealing 5 damage directly to the character. Remember, if your follower is attacking the character, it deals damage equal to its own size.
Wow. So the Hooch is down to 2 life. He's got to be very careful about what he plays right now. Because if he plays the wrong card and it dies, it's pretty much game over.
This is really coming down to the wire here, people. This is a single elimination tournament. I don't think you realize how serious this is. If this turn does not go well for him, he could be gone first round. This is crazy because I personally had him in the finals in my mind. I will unveil that right now.
All right. So just to note, only the follower in slot 3 is going to benefit from the Hooch's buff and not Visitor Ophelia. Oh, actually, he's not going to benefit from it at all because slot 3 actually needed to be size 3. So that was a misplay on Dahooch's part. We'll see how this turn unfolds because this is going to be very crucial.
This is do or die here. Oh, man. Follower in slot 3 barely holding on. Visitor Ophelia holding on as well. Luckily, Vault's followers don't have too high of an attack, so that Visitor Ophelia can hold on, continue to buff herself. Oh, she's barely hanging in there. Barely giving herself that -1 defense. Oh, and she takes... Oh, it's so close, and that's it! Oh my gosh! Oh, man.
Wow, that was a close match. I actually thought the Hooch was gonna have a chance there with Visitor Ophelia. What she does is she gives herself -1 def, and depending on the difference between her def and her size, she's gonna give a debuff to the attacker. So I thought that was gonna be a big turnaround. Unfortunately, Vault's followers just follow up there, and he's actually coming in right now, and he's dancing in front of the Hooch's face. So
Vault is very happy to have this victory. He, as I said before, was one of the dark horses. We really didn't know what he was going to bring to the table. We didn't know what his deck was going to be like, and we just saw it played out firsthand. Very, very well played. He lost his student leader Lena early, but he was able to recover, come back, and take that victory. So Vault moves on to round 2. He will be playing Delita a little bit later on. How do you feel about that, Delita?
I'm ready. I've seen his deck, and I think I'm prepared. It'll be a good match.
Alright, well, we are going to take a minute to get ready for Delirium versus Crash. This is going to be another awesome match because these two sit next to each other and play each other very, very often, and the war has been going on for quite some time. It goes back and forth. Both of them have very strong decks, and we'll see who the victor is today in the single elimination tournament. Stay tuned! And we are back. Before we get the next game started, we are going to have a quick word from Ness. He wants to speak to all you beautiful people out there.
What's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. I know I am. That was a crazy last match. Everyone in the office here has been waiting to see Dahooch's deck, and I'd like to say it is quite interesting, and I'm glad I don't have to face him. Aside from that, I would like to let everybody know that we selected 2 people so far to be chosen to be entered in the random drawing for the art book. I'll be selecting 3 more people throughout the entire stream, and when I get back to my desk, I'll post up who I've private messaged already. Alright, I'm going to give it back to Godzooks.
Yes, so make sure you check those private messages. It could be you that is entered into the drawing for that art book. Yes, we have Dahooch right here. Just lost that game. It was very close. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed commentating on it. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, for the most part, it was again, luck of the draw kind of thing. I mean, things didn't go my way. A couple of cards I threw out there didn't quite last as long as I had hoped they did. Obviously, the first being Fatal Rival 7. She was key to kind of my play style, as using her to debuff a lot of the opponent cards. But as you saw, she didn't stick around long enough to really make a dent. The other thing that I was going for, that I'm pretty certain, I'm not sure if anybody noticed, but all of my cards weren't most of my cards, weren't the default stats. I had actually gone through and utilized the upgrade process to get most of my cards to level 5.
So it looks like Dahooch had a full analysis of exactly what went right and what went wrong. He knows exactly what he needs to work on for the next time. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I mean, I knew coming in there was some, as you mentioned, there's some holes in my deck that were pretty much going to be exploited mostly by a Vita deck, specifically that library member card. I knew that was going to be rough. Through all of my tests with playing the computer, that was the one that was giving me the most headache. So I knew as soon as going in, setting up against Vault first round, it was going to be rough. And as I said, I mean, everybody was kind of giving me the pass to the finals and said, hey, I may not get out of the first round.
Yes, this game is very unpredictable. We really don't know what's going to happen each time, and it looks like GM Crash is ready for his game with Delirium. Let's get this underway. Crash using the Kendo Sita character card that we just saw Vault use, and Delirium using the Dress Luthika that we just saw Dahooch use. Wow.
This is a rematch pretty much of character we had last time. Hopefully Dress Luthika can help us Crux character users redeem ourselves.
And we see GM Crash playing that Volcano and 2S Assistant. He's got that Genius Student at 9. He may want to hold on to that for later. I think that's what his game plan is going to be. He's got, I believe, a new student there in his second slot in his hand. Oh, new Cook Club student, yes. GM Crash does have an affinity for the Cook Club and for Vita as a whole, so we shall see what else is in his hand.
That Volcano card, I mean, is really good. It's basically the debuff based off of number of Vita followers that are in your hand. He's got 3 right now, so it's a pretty good debuff.
There we have the beautiful Crux Knight Sinclair, one of my favorite cards in the game. I think as a whole, it seems like Delirium plays the hand that I would play. He plays the deck that I would play. Even though I use Vita, I really love seeing his play style. It really calls to me and kind of works the way I would play a Sword Girls game.
Yeah, you mentioned Crux Knight Sinclair. We've noticed that Delirium really loves that card. He hangs on it a lot, uses that along with Flag Knight Fret to buff her up. Unfortunately, he's got her in slot 3, so that's right in Kendo Sita's range. She's just going to knock that stamina down.
Yeah, and as we saw, Flag Knight Fret was in there, got knocked out, and yeah, you get one Crux Knight Sinclair per deck, and Delirium has already played it. He really does love that card. He uses it kind of as the backbone of his decks, along with Lydia. I'm sure we'll see Lydia here sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to school Delirium a little bit earlier. I was telling him, give me a little pointers on how to play it. I noticed he uses that Seeker Lydia a little bit when she's by herself, and she's a card that definitely needs to be along with another Crux follower.
And there we see Crash has two new Cook Club students in play, and a random follower with Cook Club in the name gets +1 attack, +1 stam, so we're going to be seeing 2 of those buffs thrown around as long as those 2 cards can stay in the game.
Even though I have encyclopedic knowledge, I can't remember the name of the spell card that just went off for Delirium there, but it is a good card. It does a buff based off of cards that have Knight in the name, and if you have Luthica in your character card, it also does +3 attack along with the +3 stam.
Right now, as you can see, Sinclair is snowballing into a monster. We have her at 22 attack. Crash has got to come up with some kind of way to cut her down. He's got a Magic Eye, he's got to Shrink, he's got to play something to get her out of here because she will take his entire team out.
Sinclair's a glass cannon. I mean, she's got that huge attack, but she's sitting on only 2 armor and 3 stamina. You know, most cards with 5 attack will take that out real quick. They just got to pray they don't get hit first.
Absolutely. Delirium really needs to win this coin toss so he can start handing out beatings early, but actually it doesn't even look like that's going to matter that much that he has that much attack because Crash hasn't played any follower cards.
Oh, a wasted bondage by Delirium. That's not going to affect anything in Crash's hand, so that's good for him, but he is going to get hit with that and Shrink hits the wrong card.
Oh, Shrink hits the wrong card. Crash would have loved to Shrink hit that Sinclair, cut her in half, but didn't quite do it. She's still sitting strong. Getting debuffed a little bit by that Kendo Sita, but she's still living for this game, man. Now she's up to 22 attack. Oh no, and she gets another buff. She's at 24.
You could argue that, although we said it hit the wrong card, Sinclair's pretty heavy, but Echo Light, you know, she'll do a buff to all your Crux followers, so it may actually turn out to be good that he did hit that card.
Yes, I believe, is that an empowering chant? Yes, that is an empowering chant that Crash decided to play, and his genius student, Nanai, has finally made her debut. Let's see how long she can stay in this, and how much damage she can do, because that Sinclair is just looking out of control at the moment.
This is the first time we've seen Nanai in the tournament, isn't it?
I think so. Someone may have already played it, but I think this may be the first time.
Basically, I mean, for those of you out there who've seen Nanai or haven't seen Nanai, there's been some discussion as to far, you know, how she actually functions, but her skill is based on the size of the attacker. So whenever she's attacked, she takes the size of the attacker, removes all the cards from both graves of cards of that size, and then does the damage of the number of cards back to the attacker.
See, that's exactly what Crash wanted. Nanai taking that huge amount of damage and just finally knocking Sinclair off the field. Sinclair was a huge thorn in Crash's side, and now he's got her off the field. He can start fresh, throw out some empowering chant buffs, possibly. He's got Cook Club Director as well. That's size 5. He can't play it yet, but that will definitely be benefiting him as well in the future. As you can see, a lot of his deck is based on Cook Club. Vita represent, and he's got the balance card off of the shuffle.
Balance and pacifism. Pacifism is one of those you don't really see used with a Vita deck or anything other than Crux.
So yeah, if things get a little too hairy and he gets too far down in health, he'll be able to use, I think he'll first go for that balance and regulate the health a little bit, bring himself back into the game. But it looks like things may have tipped in his favor as of late. His Nanai is still kicking and well, and he's throwing out buffs here and there, pushing 11 attack on his 2S assistant, I believe that is.
Yeah, it's 2S assistant. She's going to keep going up 1 attack every time before she attacks. And she actually takes out Hilda, which is another card that Delirium kind of relies on. It's going to buff, basically it buffs itself and another card for stamina +2 while taking its own attack down by 1. Good card if you can keep buffing its attack. Good way to keep some cards alive, but as you can see, it's been wiped off the field.
Wow, so Crash has totally tipped the scales. He's at 14 life, while his opponent, Delirium, is at 6. He's got Pacifism, he's got Shrink, he's got Shield Break, 3 incredible spell cards in his hand. If he can utilize these properly, most likely not going to use Balance, but if he can utilize these properly, he can ride them all the way to victory.
I gotta say, and the Shield Break makes an appearance. I gotta say that in the get-go, in the early on, that was one of the cards that I absolutely hated. It seemed every NPC had that card, used it on every single follower that I wanted to keep up with armor, and it just always worked in their favor. But once I found Ophelia, my fear of Shield Break kind of went away.
So here we see Lydia, and here we